Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at making a multi-step progress bar. So real quick, I'll show you what the final product looks like. So we have a progress bar here with 4 steps, and we'll use our buttons to navigate in between each step. So this is really useful for any type of application where you need to guide users through some type of process, maybe like an onboarding flow or some type of checkout system where maybe they're going from a cart to shipping to payment to confirmation or whatever application that you may be creating. So let's go ahead and start building this. Okay, so in order to make this, we're going to need 2 components. We're going to need the actual circle and we're going to need the line that connects each one. So let's go ahead and start off by creating the line first. So right above our content view, you can just go ahead and do struct connecting line. And we're going to create a variable that is active and it's of type bool. And in our body, we're going to do just a rectangle. And we'll do fill is active. And we'll use a ternary operator. If it is active, we'll return blue. If it's not active, we'll return gray. Our frame will do a height of 2 and also a max width of infinity. So that's all we need for the line. And then for our circle, we'll do struct step circle. And then for our we're going to need 2 variables as well. Up here we'll do let number of type integer and let is completed of type bool. So here we'll do a z stack and we'll create a circle. And our stroke, if it is completed, the color is blue. If it's not completed, our color is gray. And we'll do a line width of 2. Frame, we'll do a width of 40 and the height, same thing, 40. It will do if is completed, then our circle is going to be fill of color.blue and frame width and height is 40 and 40. And here is where the number that's within the circle is going to go. So we'll do number. And then for the font, we can just use a headline font. And then the foreground color, if it's completed, we'll use white. And if it's not, we'll use gray. So these are the 2 components that we're going to need. And then we can actually move on to our creating the actual progress bar. Okay, so to create the multi-step progress bar, we're going to do struct multi-step progress bar view returns a view, and then we're going to need 2 variables here. So we're going to need let number of steps of type integer and let current step of type integer as well. So this is the total number of steps in the progress bar, and then this is the current active step that we're on. And then here we'll do var body and view, and then we're also going to need an initializer. So we'll just go ahead and use that autocomplete feature that we have here, and then we want to give this a default value of 4 and this a default value of 1. We can leave number of steps as is, but our current step we'll want to do min max 1 current step number of steps. So in our body, we want to do an h stack facing 0, and then we'll do a for each of 1 to number of steps, id of self, and then we'll do step in. So right now we're just creating a horizontal stack with no spacing to ensure that the line's properly attached to the circles. And then our for each is that we just want to iterate through each step number, going from 1 to the total number of steps. So now we need the step circle, which is the one we created here. So step circle, and then it's going to take in a number. So our number is going to be step, and it's completed is going to be a step is less than or equal to our current step. And then if step is less than number of steps, our connecting line that we made, it's going to be active if step is less than our current step. So here for each step, we're going to create a circle that contains the step number, right? So if we go down to our step circle, we have our number here, and that's going to be of 1 or 2 or 3, depending on the steps that we have. And the circle is going to be marked as completed if its step number is less than or equal to the current step in the progress bar. And at that point, we just need to add the connecting line right between each circle. But we want to make sure that we add this condition now if step is less than number of steps, because we don't want a line to go after the final number, right? So if we have 4 steps, we don't want that 4th circle to have another line that connects to nothing. Okay, so now we have everything that we need in order for us to start actually building this in our content view. But before that, I'm just going to go ahead and add some real quick padding here. So let's move on down to our content view. And we have some boilerplate code here. Just get rid of it. Keep the VStack, but get rid of all that SF symbol stuff. And we're going to go in here into our spacing and give this a spacing of 30. And then we're going to need a state variable. Let's go as add state private var current step, and then just do 1. So here we're going to add our actual multi-step progress bar, and we're going to need number of steps, and that's going to be 4. And current step is our current step. So if we go ahead and actually run this, you can see we have our 4 steps. And then truthfully, you can change this to whatever you want. So if you wanted to go into number of steps, you can change that to 10. And if we go ahead and run that, you can see we have 10 steps, but it is very squeezed tightly. If you change this to a landscape mode, then we can see that it's a lot nicer. But truthfully, you probably want to limit this so you don't have 10, 20, 100 steps. But anything for, you know, a low number like 4, this will work just fine. So let's exit out of this. Let's switch that back to 4. And then these are just some visuals. So now we can see how it looks like when we go from step 1 to 2 to 3. So we'll just do text, current step. And I'm going to stick with 4. Font, headline, and then our H stack, do a spacing of 20. And these are going to be our buttons. So button, now give this previous. And this is going to allow us to go back. So if current step is greater than 1, then current step. And then these are just safety checks here. So I'm going to disable it if current step is less than or equal to 1. And for button style, I'm just going to do bordered prominent. We have one to go backwards, but now we need one to go forwards. So we do button next. If current step is less than 4, then current step plus equals 1. And then same thing here. We can just go ahead and copy this down here. And then we'll just change the conditional to from less than or equal to 1 to greater than or equal to 4. So now we go ahead and run this. We can see that this works. So now once we reach the final step, we can't go any further than that. And when we go to our first step, we can go back. So while this works, we can make this nicer. As you can see, when you go from one step to the other, it's kind of an instant thing. And I think this will be a lot nicer if we add an animation to it. This is completely optional, but I think this will make your UI just a lot nicer. So let's go ahead and start adding a little bit of animation to this. So to go ahead and create this animation, we'll just go ahead and we can get rid of this conditional, this if statement. And in our circle here, so this is our outer circle, and this is going to be our inner circle. This is the one that actually gets filled up once the step is completed. So we can leave this as is, but underneath frame, we want to do scale effect. And we'll do is completed. We'll do a ternary operator of 1 or 0. And our animation here, we'll do a spring with a response of 0.4 and then damping fraction of 0.7. And then here, get rid of that and replace that with value. And we'll do is completed. And for a number here, we can also do something here. So underneath foreground color, we'll do also animation. And then we'll do ease out. And then for the duration, we'll do 0.3. And we also need a value here. And then the same one is completed. So that's all we need to do in order to animate the circle, but we also want to animate the line as well. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So actually, right before we go and start to animate the line, we can go ahead and see how this new animation looks like. So now when we hit next, you can see you get this little spring effect, and I think that looks a lot nicer, but you can see that the line from the moment you hit previous instantly disappears, instantly appears when you hit next. You can get a little animation to show that's filling up. So to do that, we just go to connecting line, and we're going to need to do a new variable and let is partially active a bool. And then in here, we're going to have to wrap this in a geometry reader. Geometry and then we're also going to need a Z stack here with an alignment of leading. And we want to take our rectangle and put it into our Z stack. And so we're going to need the background line. So we can leave that one, this rectangle as is, and create a brand new one. Fill, this one's going to stay at a color of gray, and that will never change. And frame height 2. And then this is the one we're going to modify because this is the one that's going to be active. So this one here, we'll go ahead and leave it at blue. We want to get rid of this conditional. And then for our frame here, we can leave this height here. And then right before that, we want to do width is active of type geometry.size.width. And then we'll use that new variable we created, so it's partially active. Geometry size width 0.5 override 0. And we're going to need a comma here. And we can get rid of this frame. And we'll do animation, ease in out. And for the duration, we'll do 0.6. And we'll want to get rid of this body and replace that with value. And then we'll do is active or is partially active. And then for the entire geometry reader, so now there's Z stack, but out here, this is where we do frame, and then we'll do height 2, and then frame max width of the infinity. So we cannot run this just yet because we have an error up here. So we need to fix that because we added this new is partially active. So the fix for this is actually really simple. It's just a matter of adding that in. So it's partially active, and we'll do step is equal to current step minus 1. And then we also need to add an animation here. So animation, ease in out, ease in out, and then the duration would be 0.5, and then the value would be current step. So now we should be able to run this and everything should work. There you go. You can see now the progress bar starts to fill up, giving it a little animation that, hey, it's going over to the next step. And then when we go to the previous one, you can see once the circle is no longer, we're off that step, so the circle is going to turn gray. It's not going to be filled up anymore, and the progress bar goes back to the previous one. So I personally think this gives it a little bit of nicer UI experience and just makes your app look a lot more lively. So that pretty much does it for today's tutorial. I hope you found this useful, and if you did, go ahead and drop a comment, leave any feedback, give this video a thumbs up, and just be sure to subscribe for all my future tutorials. Thank you guys so much.